Thank you very much for coming to this webinar today. I'm very excited to tell you about the Electric Vehicle Consortium and also the sponsorship opportunities that exist with this group. We'll just go over the agenda, and we're just going to have a really short agenda today that is packed with a lot of information. I'm going to give an overview of the Electric Vehicle Consortium, what we are and what we do. And then there's also a section at the end that talks about sponsorship opportunities. I'm Linnell Duke, and I'm the VP of Product for Utilimark, and I'm also the program manager of the Electric Vehicle Consortium. So it's in that capacity that I'll be talking with you today. The Electric Vehicle Consortium assists our members with their EV deployment and monitoring by supplying data analysis and facilitating best practice sharing. We are pooling all the members' vehicle and charging data into one data set. We currently have about 40 member fleets in the US and Canada. Some of the key verticals are utilities, cities, counties, state governments. We have some education and some telecom. And then the typical participants, the people who attend our meetings and our educational sessions that we have and submit data, are fleet managers, fleet analysts, and sustainability administrators. Pooling the data gives our members access to a substantially larger data set that they can use to make informed decisions, see trends, and get a read on how they're tracking against other fleets that are implementing electric vehicles. So we've heard from fleets that are just starting out. They only have a handful of these vehicles. They just got them. They have no historical reference point. They don't have enough data to help them make operational decisions or buying decisions. So by being able to be pooled in with all these other members, that builds a really large data set, and then everyone gets to benefit from that.
Now, Linnell, is this is national, but do we have data specific to California?
We actually have a lot of California-based fleets. There's a lot of utilities. We have a lot of cities out there that are California-based just because of the more stringent regulations that they had initially. Have a large majority is California-based fleets. We don't do any specific analysis on them as a geographical group in this consortium, but it could be something that could be done.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. The data that they have makes it easier for them to make decisions and keep their leadership apprised of their progress. And then we also offer a lot of educational opportunities throughout the year, and I'll share some examples of those later on. And then our members also enjoy being part of a large peer network comprised of people who have the same job and goals as them. It's really developed into a close-knit community, and that's a really nice aspect of it. So this is how our data set has grown over time. We started the consortium in January of 2023, so it's been almost 2.5 years now. And the first data submission was in Q2 of 2023. So the data is submitted by our members each quarter, and the numbers grow as members join and the existing members add additional electric vehicles and hybrids to their fleet. So in this stacked bar chart, the gray represents ICE vehicles, so that's internal combustion engine vehicles. The dark blue are hybrids and the light blue are EVs. And we collect the information, even though we're called the Electric Vehicle Consortium, we collect information on the ICE vehicles so that we can draw comparisons between them and electrics, how they perform, usage, cost-wise, downtime, availability, stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why it's important to have the ICE vehicles in there, is just so that we can do analysis between those engine types. The bar chart showing the different layers as we've grown each quarter, and currently our vehicle count, you can see it's grown significantly since we started. We have nearly 2,000 electric vehicles and almost 4,000 hybrids. And so far, this data is on light duty vehicles because that's what's most prevalent in the marketplace at this point in time. We have breakouts by sedans, pickups, SUVs, and vans. And then as our members add medium and heavy duty electric and hybrid units, we will track those as well. So one of the nice things about running this group is how thankful the members are, how much they have enjoyed being a part of it and having the analytics that we provide to them. This first quote is from City of Austin. They enjoy being a part of this group for the analytical insights, the thought leadership, and the community that we're building together. So for example, City of Columbus appreciates having metrics that they can share with their city leaders and show their progress. And also they appreciate that knowledge sharing aspect and being able to learn from other people who are in the same situation that they are. Then City of Columbus, they appreciate having metrics and results to share with city leaders. Oregon Department of Transportation, they use the data to make operational decisions like they describe here. Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency have the sentiment that we hear from a lot of our members, which is fleets that join the electric vehicle consortium. Some of them are just starting out. It's kind of a continuum, which is nice because we have people who are just starting out and then we have people who have been at it for a while. If you're just getting in it, it can feel very overwhelming to try to figure everything out. But being part of this group and having that data and having that peer network is really very helpful. The data is very important for the electric vehicle consortium, and we collect a lot of different kinds of data that go into the analysis and the dashboards that we provide. Of the things on this graphic, I'm going to talk about 3 of them briefly. We process data from probably 8 or 10 different fleet management information systems, and we normalize and assimilate all that so we can create apples to apples comparisons within the dashboards that we give to our members. When we're pulling the fleet information system data, it's a lot of asset information, and it's also based largely on work order data down to the task level. And a lot of the things that we measure regards to parts costs or labor costs or duration of repair, that kind of thing, that all comes out of the FMIS data that the fleet sends in. The other kind of data that's also important is telematics data because we use that for utilization, charging, and battery capability metrics. We collect that and put that into a second dashboard that measures those kinds of metrics. And then sometimes the data that you want cannot be collected out of a system or off a device. And when that happens, we run surveys of our membership. And we also run roundtable forums, which are discussion forums that members talk. So we get that qualitative data out of the roundtable forums, and then we get quantitative data out of the surveys that we're running. These are the key analysis areas that we are currently and actively sharing with our members. We have metrics, trends over time, and comparisons, which could be peer comparisons, engine type comparisons. We do stuff between internal combustion engines, hybrids, and fully electric vehicles, and also do comparisons by make model. The key areas are maintenance, reliability, sustainability, purchase pricing, utilization, charging, battery capability, and driver sentiment. Those are the areas that make up the different dashboards that we give to the members. In addition to the data that we give them, we also run a lot of educational content. So for example, last year we ran a 4-part charging webinar series that was led by one of our data scientists. That was very well received and shared a lot of really interesting information that looked at what we were seeing in our data set as far as charging goes, and also academic papers, putting those 2 things together and coming up with some really unique and interesting content that was real world data right out of our data set. We also run a number of roundtable forums on different topics. So we've done them on EV battery performance, specifically around ambient temperature and towing. We have done them on charging infrastructure. And then our latest one was recently, it was last month, and it was on technician training. Sometimes we have special guests who come in and do webinars for us. For example, we have Geotab coming in next week, actually. They're going to be doing an occasional webinar for us. And then at the end of the month, we have Move EV coming in and doing a webinar on home charging reimbursement. Like I mentioned, we do some different surveys. We did a study on vehicle acquisition strategies in October of 2023. And then in June of 2024, we ran a driver sentiment survey where we surveyed the drivers of our members and measured their sentiment on some key questions regarding driving those vehicles and charging those vehicles and how they felt about that. That was a really big initiative. We produced a really nice report. That was a higher level report. And then any of our members who had 8 or more completed driver responses also got a custom report that was specific to their own organization and their own drivers. And that was last year in June, and now it's May, almost a year later, and we're going to be gearing up to run another one of those driver sentiment surveys in June of this year. And our plan is to watch the trend over time and see if sentiment might be changing as more and more of the electric vehicles are adopted. Then another thing that's been really fun that we started at the end of last year was we had some questions from our members about how to implement a home charging policy. And people were interested in doing that, but they didn't really know where to start. So we ran a workshop session with members who were interested in that. It was a brainstorming session. We had the key categories that should be contained in a topic. And then we also had the specific points that each of those categories should contain about what employees should know about being part of a home charging reimbursement strategy and plan. And by the end of that meeting, we came out of it with an outline. We worked to turn that outline into a policy. Move EV, because they do a lot of home charging and reimbursement topics and education. They helped us write the policy. And then some of our members also helped to review and get it into final shape. And then it came out that it was about an 8-page template that we gave out to our members at the end of January. And they could use this if they wanted to implement within their own fleets. There's just some little places where they need to add in like their own name or their own custom information. And basically what we're hoping to do is just give them a head start instead of when they're trying to write their policy, starting with nothing. Now they have a template that they can modify or change as they see fit. So that was very successful. And we've recently also rolled out one that was a municipal specific policy as well. Another thing that we have is a community website. It has discussion forums on 6 different EV related topics. And it's a way for our members to communicate outside of our quarterly meetings that we do, and allows them to start a discussion post. They can ask a question. They can share a best practice. I use it a lot to start a discussion or to share information about events or other initiatives that might be going on in the consortium, get just some general impressions from members on certain topics that we might be researching within our development, the dashboards and things like that. So it's for members only. We don't allow vendors in it, just so members can add comments and ask questions freely amongst themselves. The member benefits are, we produce 2 interactive dashboards. One is based on the Fleet Management Information System data, and that is produced quarterly. Then there's a dashboard, that's the one that's based on telematics data that measures usage, charging, and battery capability metrics. Since that's based on telematics data, that's more of a real-time refresh. We produce an executive summary each quarter. We do a lot of educational content. We do roundtable forums, panel discussions, the policy workshops that I just mentioned, and then we have the social media platform. So when members join, they get all of this and they get it for free. We do not charge members to be a part of this. Their contribution is that they submit their data quarterly. That's what we ask for them. We don't ask them to pay. We just say, just send your data in. Because of that, we've been able to grow our membership pretty well because that reduces that barrier for them because there's not a charge for it. What's been nice about the Electric Vehicle Consortium is that we have been on the conference circuit of the back half of last year. The EV Consortium dataset was the subject of 3 conference presentations. So that was really nice to be recognized within the fleet community by being asked to participate in these different conferences and present our data and what we're seeing. We do have the largest data set in the country, so we have the data and the analytical power to be able to share those kinds of insights, which has been really fun. And what was really neat about this first one that was in June was that everyone that participated in the panel were participants of the Electric Vehicle Consortium. So the companies listed there, they're all members, and then I was in it too, and I'm the facilitator of the group. So that was really neat. And then now let's switch over to sponsor benefits, unless there are any questions.
I just have to say this is all really incredible. I have a couple of people in mind that could really benefit from this, and I believe that you could benefit from their data as well. So I'd love to speak with you afterwards about that. And then also, yeah, there's a couple of things that I'd like to speak with you about partnering as well.
Yep, thank you. I'll definitely get in touch with you after the webinar and we can set a time to meet. Thanks. Now that you've learned about the Electric Vehicle Consortium and understand the important work we do and how much our members value the data and insights, let's talk about sponsorships. So since membership is free, we rely on the support of our sponsors for funding. And as a sponsor, they enjoy brand visibility across channels so that you can showcase your logo on the Electric Vehicle Consortium website, in email campaigns in our social media platform, reaching a targeted network of fleet managers, EV professionals, and industry leaders. You'll also receive formal acknowledgement at meetings, webinars, and workshops through verbal mentions, visual branding, and event communications that help your organization stay top of mind for these fleets. There's always a slide at the very beginning of any of our meetings that recognize our sponsors, and we take a few minutes to talk about the sponsors and the value that they're bringing by allowing us to continue to function because of their generous donations to our group. They can benefit from mentions in industry press releases, publications that we put out that helps to position your brand as a leader in fleet electrification and innovation. And then we have a gold level sponsor tier, and they get some neat, unique opportunities to feature their products and services to our member community through dedicated webinars, personalized email campaigns, and a spotlight page on the EV Consortium website that is all their own. Geotab is one of our gold level sponsors, and this is the snapshot of their sponsor page on the Electric Vehicle Consortium website. That is at evconsortium.org. Let's start with our bronze tier. This is a great entry point for sponsors who want visibility and engagement at the foundational level. Your logo will appear on our sponsor page and in the footer of the EV Consortium website, putting your brand in front of our community. Your organization's name will also be featured in emails that are sent to members, and those emails get sent at least 12 times per year. And at our EVC meetings, we give verbal and visual recognition to your brand by showing a member slide at the beginning of each session and talking about each sponsor. The bronze tier is a solid way to build awareness and start engaging with our members. Next is our silver tier, and this is where sponsorships becomes more interactive and strategic. You'll receive everything from the bronze package plus brand visibility in our members-only discussion forum where our peer conversations are happening, a dedicated profile page on the evconsortium.org website to share more about your offerings, plus one sponsored email campaign tailored with your messaging to our audience. And finally, you'll get access to an anonymized executive summary, which gives insights and trends and sentiments from our collective data set and our members. This level offers a richer mix of exposure and engagement tools, especially useful if you want to influence the conversation and drive leads. And finally, our gold tier. This is our highest impact partnership. Along with all the silver and bronze benefits, gold sponsors also receive a sponsored webinar to present thought leadership or product innovations directly to our member community, a sponsor-led survey allowing you to gather insights from our members, and last but not least, mentions in our press releases and industry publications, giving you amplified reach beyond the consortium itself. The gold level tier is an excellent fit for partners who want to influence strategy, foster dialogue, and be seen as a key voice in the EV transition. The ACT and NAFA conferences are this week. And I know that organizations pay top dollar to sponsor a networking break or a breakfast or something like that at one of those events, which is a one-time deal. It's one networking opportunity, it's one breakfast sponsorship, and then it's over. And what's great about us is that our sponsorship tiers, they last for a whole 12 months. So you're getting that exposure all year long, not in just one specific session at one specific time. In summary, the sponsorship positions your brand at the forefront of fleet electrification, driving industry progress, gaining early insights, and connecting with key decision makers. And I hope you'll sponsor us because you see it as a great fit for your organization or because you believe in the mission of what we're doing with the EVC. Are there any more questions?
Linnell, thank you very much for outlining this.
You're
And I will
welcome.
be in touch with you shortly.
Thank you very much for attending. I appreciate it.